Oh, my goodness. That's what I was waiting for. That's the My Radio Show hotline. Don't get nervous. Ladies and gentlemen, this man played in the big leagues from 1999 to 2008, including 2 seasons with the Dodgers from 02 to 04. He had 243 career stolen bases, won a World Series in 2004 with the Boston Red Sox, National League Manager of the Year in 2016, and he has 23 postseason wins. Ladies and gentlemen, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts.
Hey, Rick, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Dave, can I share a disappointment with you, though? Is that okay if I can be honest with you for a second here?
I like honesty,
Okay.
please.
In 2004, as a player with the Dodgers, you were my guest analyst on a baseball show that I hosted. Now, I was grooming you for big-time television, but you decided to get in. Hang on. Now, you decided to get into coaching, and 2 World Series appearances later, you become one of baseball's best managers. Was I wrong to think you should have been a broadcaster?
Absolutely not. I appreciate your foresight, your intent. I guess that my trek was meant to be on the field, I guess.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. It's been a stellar young career for you as a baseball manager. All right. Big deadline came and went. No, I guess the old expression, it's better to make no trade than make a bad trade. You guys were standing pat. You kept a lot of your young studs, and that's a good thing, isn't it?
It is, and I think that it's now obviously with media, and there's so much attention to things that potentially could happen, which is great for the game. But I think sometimes the best move is the move you don't make. And you talk about the guys that we were potentially moving, Rick. These are great ball players with high upside and tremendous makeup and character, and these are Dodgers. And so I think that with what we did, standing pat, with what we have internally, I still expect to win a championship here in 19.
Dustin May goes tonight. A lot of people talking about this kid. By the way, are you having a lot of fun watching the Will Smiths and the Beatties and possibly Dustin May tonight play so well in front of these big crowds?
Oh, I am, and I think that these are guys that are really fun to root for. And Will Smith coming up with all these big hits and these homers, and what he's doing with our pitching staff, and just have so much success early. And it's just when you know the guy and you can really root for him, and he's a part of really what we're doing now and going forward. And Dustin, it's going to be fun to watch him making his debut here at Dodger Stadium. And you got to get past the hair, because it's a lot of hair and it's red. But I'll tell you right now, Rick, this guy's got tremendous stuff. He's going to go out there and compete, and he's going to be demonstrative, but it's real, and it's going to be a fun night.
Dave, let's talk analytics. Statistical information gets fed to a computer, and a strategy for games gets spit out. How much of managing is now formula? How much of it is your gut?
Well, I think it's a combo, but I think that's the way. You know what is funny is that's the way it's always been. I think that people kind of are taken aback by the word analytics, but these are facts. And whether you're Walt Alston or Earl Weaver, there's things that baseball is a statistics-driven game. So now you get this information, and as a manager, you know your players better than anyone, and then you got to make a decision. So it's kind of with baseball, with any industry, you take a lot of information, and then you ultimately make a decision, and that's exactly what I do.
Dodgers manager Dave Roberts on My Radio Show with Rick Garcia. What's the single biggest difference strategy-wise from when you played?
I think that probably pen usage. I think that that's probably things that starters aren't going as deep into games. There's a lot more offense than there ever has been. And I think also lineup construction, where I hit leadoff my entire career, even against Randy Johnson, where it might have been nice to probably hit eighth and take 3 at-bats against Randy instead of 4. So yeah. Those are things that I think that people, when I came up, you're kind of set where you're at. But the ability now to move guys around the diamond in the order to give yourself a best chance to win that game, I think that's probably been something that's really evolved as well.
Let's go back in time. 2004 in the ALCS. Red Sox are down to the Yankees 3-0. In Game 4, you're put in to pinch run. You steal second base. Who knew a stolen base would change not only the momentum of that game, but the entire series? The Red Sox going to win 4 straight games and the World Series. When you were put in the game at that moment, Was that the plan all along to steal a base, or were you ad-libbing? Were you on your own?
Yeah, actually, I was ad-libbing. Tito put the bunt sign on for Bill Miller, and I told our first base coach I was going to steal second base, so looked at Tito. They took the bunt sign off and said, and Lynn Jones, our first base coach, says, okay, kid, do what you do. And so that was that moment. It was like, okay, it's now or never. And, you know, you practice and prepare for big moments like that. And fortunately for me, I was on a great team and a great manager who trusted me to steal a base. And I definitely didn't foresee 8 straight wins in a championship, but it was something that people look at as a turning point, and it's just humbling when I'm spoke in that light.
Well, you know, it's interesting, though, because that season, you, as I mentioned, you were my guest analyst, and it's the first time I've had a guest analyst traded in the middle of a season. So you wind up in the postseason, and I got to tell you, this is one of my favorite interviews, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I think it was the actual World Series and not the ALCS, but you were in the dugout getting ready for the World Series, and we had you live from the dugout on your cell phone at that time, talking about taking in that whole aura of the World Series.
Yeah, Rick. You're exactly right. Very good recall, man. And I definitely enjoyed being working with you, and you kind of groomed me. So I had to take from Dodger Stadium on Sundays after games to the postseason with the Red Sox. So and now here we are today.
Let me ask you this. 2010, you were diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. You were eventually given a clean bill of health. What was that time like in your life?
Yeah, it was tough, and I was actually working with the Padres at the time in the front office. And you know what's interesting is I felt a lump in my neck, and if I wasn't working with an organization at that time, it was Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a very aggressive form of cancer. I wouldn't have had that team physical in February, and I would have probably procrastinated, and I got diagnosed at stage 2, and if I wouldn't have taken, if it would have been a couple, 2-3 weeks, it might have went into my bloodstream under my chest, stage 3, and that could have been drastically different. So got it early and did the chemotherapy and the radiation, and I've been cancer-free for, call it 8 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Wow.
Listen, I know we're almost out of time. Let's play some true false. I'm just going to ask you a question. You can answer true or false. And see if we can learn a little bit more about Dave Roberts. True or false, you were recruited to play quarterback at the Air Force Academy?
True.
True, okay. True or false, instead, you played baseball at UCLA as a walk-on where you graduated with a degree in history?
True.
All right, true or false, you considered quitting baseball in the minor leagues, but Dad talked you out of it?
True.
Oh, okay. True or false, you stole home in your first major league game?
False.
Yeah, I made that up. All right. How about this? True or false? You own a winery along with former Giants teammate Rich Aurelia.
Very true.
And it's Red Stitch?
True.
I have not had a bottle yet of Red Stitch.
All right, Rick, I got to make that happen. If you're a Cap guy, Pinot guy,
I love Cabs. Okay, true or false? The Dodgers trade of Dave Roberts to Boston is the worst trade in franchise history.
Definitely false.
No, but listen, could be true because the Dodgers got a guy by the name of Henry Stanley who was never heard from again.
That's fair. I think the Lionel DeShields for Pedro, that's probably top of mind.
All right, listen, final question. I know you have to go. Dodgers 72-39, 16 games in first place. You play the Padres again tonight. How do you keep those guys from getting complacent?
You know what, Rick? We just don't deal with complacency. Our guys are always trying to get better each day. And this is something that we've been accustomed to, as far as winning baseball games, staying focused on just each day. And I will say this, Rick, when you get young players, and you mentioned Matt Beatty, you mentioned Will Smith, obviously Walker Buehler's a young player, but you get guys that are young and hungry. It definitely makes guys that have been around that much better, and also the veteran players like Justin Turner and all those guys helping the young players out. So this culture right now is pretty special, and complacency is something that's definitely not a part of what we do here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Roberts has been our guest on my radio show. Dave, congratulations. Best of luck on the rest of the season. And hopefully next time I see you, we'll be sharing a bottle of Red Stitch Cabernet.
Hey, Rick, thank you so much for having me on, my friend.
All right. I will see you out there soon, I hope. All right. Dave Roberts with us on my radio show. And